Yesterday I was battling with 100 kilos in the wide stance box squat. Today I work up to 180 for 3. In a stance that's probably even more narrower than my usual stance. The really wide stance, I can already feel it, that it's making my really narrow stance feel even better. I don't quite understand the mechanism behind it. It's almost like there's two sets of muscles that are being used in the two. One of you fellas knows quite a lot about this, and you were telling me how when you are in a really wide stance, you're biasing your internal rotation. And when you're in a really narrow stance, you're biasing your external rotation of the femur, of the hip. Today in the narrow, I felt as though the weight was being funneled into an area which I'm feeling really comfortable. So much so that I really wanted to go more and more narrow. And not just more and more narrow, but more and more like pointing my toes this way. This is something that I've spotted, that I've realized, that I've noticed with me going like back over the years, is that, you know, I look at the short videos that I have going back to, you know, back in the day. And some days I will go narrow and my stance will kind of be out like that. And then other times my feet will be pointing this way. And to me, that's an indication of what my mobility is doing on the day. Like for instance, today, I felt as though that my mobility was really well, not just because the narrow stance, but also because I had my feet pointing forward. Now that in itself is probably indicating that I do have, let's say, ample hip internal rotation, that I can manage to do that. And when I have that internal rotation, I feel so freaking strong. I feel like I stay more upright and I feel really good. Now, I'll start showing you some videos here of some of these sets, me working up to 180, and you'll see that some of these sets, I get onto my tippy toes. Now, automatically, you know, some of you guys will think it's way too narrow, that's why you're going on your tippy toes. But I reckon if I didn't, you know, hit my calves in the last 2 days, I mentioned to you guys that I was working on my calves, kind of haven't been showing that, but I've been doing, what are they called again, pogo jumps. And yesterday I did a crap ton of calf raises. And yeah, okay, you know, the calf raises can be, you know, critiqued left, right, and center, but I ended up doing 1,400 calf raises. And they were not done elevated, they were just done on the ground as I'm standing, and I was just, you know, flexing. Yes, there was a lot of bouncing, but what I was trying to do is, the reason why I didn't want to go elevated is because the bounce becomes even more. Because when your heel doesn't hit the ground, it's hanging in midair, and there's bounce all the time. But when you are, you know, returning your heel back to the ground absorbs some of that elasticity, and then you kind of generate power from ground zero again. So anyway, I ended up doing 10 sets of 100 yesterday throughout the day, did my workout, and then just before I went to sleep, I thought to myself, you know, let me set up a timer here, and let me try and get as many calf raises as possible, like, you know, like a giant set. Just keep on banging them out. Really feel the burn. And in 5 minutes, I ended up getting 400. It was lit up, and then I went to bed, and I felt like my feet were on fire. It's kind of nice feeling when you're, you know, in winter and it's cold and whatever. You know, the old saying goes is that if your feet are warm, the whole body's going to be warm. And that's exactly how I felt. I felt like I was overheating because my feet was just burning, like, you know, for a good hour afterwards, probably. I mean, I fell asleep sooner than that. So I reckon me getting on my tippy toes today was because of that, because my calves are tight and pumped and whatever. But one thing that I did realize this morning, I don't have a lot of calf DOMs yet. I will probably have them tomorrow. But what I do feel is my plantar flexors on my foot, they are kind of sore as I flex my toes. So, and that is basically the exact area that you want to work when you have collapsed arches or when you have things like that. Not that I have collapsed arches, but I have noticed my arches do fluctuate sometimes. So anyway, the 180 for 3, I could have gone a little bit heavier, but I didn't really like how the 180 looked. I was biasing way too much the forefoot. But I feel like the combination of the wide stance squats and the calf raises is allowing me to have more mobility in the narrow. I think more the wide stance is what's really driving all of this, feel good in the narrow. So when I think about Louis Simmons, when I think about all of his, disciples, the people that have come out of that gym, like Matt Wenning and, Dave Tate as well. But Matt Wenning is kind of like the teacher in all of this. Like, he speaks really well, and he seems like he gets the message across a lot better. So Matt Wenning talked about how wide will always improve narrow, but the opposite is not true. And already I'm kind of noticing that. I'm noticing my mobility is getting better. I feel like whatever kilogram of strength that I add in the wide, I feel like I get 2 in the narrow. That's kind of how it feels right now, because I spoke about it yesterday. I don't really know why I feel so crap in the wide, but I feel like I have no pelvic stability. My lower back gets taxed. So it's really, really nice. It's a really nice feeling to wake up this morning and to have that mobility. It's a really cool feeling. And then today as well, I did overhead press. Worked up to 60 kilos for a set of 10. I did that, and then I did 50 kilos for 5 sets of 10 as well. So that's kind of my pressing portion of the workout. So right now I'm thinking about having 4 different exercises for the pressing. So every other day I will have one of these 4. So, decline, flat, incline, and overhead press. I'll just keep rotating them around. And already, some more conjugate love. Already my elbows are feeling freaking unbelievable. My body's feeling unbelievable. Every single time I press, it's a different type of press. I'm always somewhere different. And even though there's a lot of crossover between all the pressing exercises, like, the triceps and the shoulders and all of that, I think there's a lot of different fibers that are the primary movers in all of these. So even though we say to ourselves, oh, it's the triceps, it's the shoulders, I get all of that, but really what's happening is we put all of these fibers in the same basket. We call them the shoulder. But really the shoulder is, millions of different fibers going everywhere. And so depending on where you rotate your elbows and where you kind of are pressing, you're going to target more so some than others. And I think that's exactly what's happening with the wide stance as well. Wide stand, narrow, different box heights. Every single time I come in, it's slightly different kind of variation. And then, with the squats, it's like a weekly kind of rotation. With the pressing, it's every 8-day rotation. So it's kind of like, as I go through the week, it's, I'm coming up against a different kind of enemy. And some days it kind of feels crap, because yesterday I was freaking battling 100 kilos. It's like, my Lord, what is going on here, man? Like, if you feel like shit. But then on days like this, when you come in and you're like, oh, all right, no worries, I'm still kind of strong. I still feel kind of where I need to be. And then you kind of go off again into the world of weakness, and then you come back and you kind of keep going back and forth. But it's feeling good. It's feeling good. I'm feeling good. Nothing hurts. Everything feels well. And the conjugate, maybe this whole time I was always a conjugate at heart, because, I've rotated a lot of exercises throughout this squat everyday journey. So many freaking exercises, man. The only difference now is that I'm not killing myself. So a lot of the times I used to, I'm doing calf raises every day for 500 reps. And I would kill myself 7, 8, 10, 20 days in a row. And then I would be like, no, it's something else. That's not really translating the way I like it. And I'll jump on something else and hammer the hell out of it. I wish that worked, because I'm that kind of personality that if you just say to me, all I need to do is the squat, I'll just do the squat. Same variation until the cows come home, until I become the world best. It doesn't work like that. I've finally conceded that variation is the key. It's not specificity. As hard as a pill that is to swallow for me, I truly believe that. Yes, I can hear you guys. A lot of you guys have been battling me on this. But sometimes, no matter what you say to somebody, they need to find their own way. And I think I found my own way. Variation. I wish, once again, I wish specificity was true, because that's really when I really enjoy my training. Variation is, like I said to you, it's less enjoyable because the variation, right? So some days I'm battling 100 kilos, that's not fun to me. That's not fun to me to do that. It's not fun to me to do freaking calf raises and pogo hops and all this shit. It's not fun. I just want to freaking high bar squat ATG. but it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So let's see how it goes. It was a long journey to get to this point, but as much as I would love specificity to be the king, and for me to just do the same thing over and over again, being in pain is not worth it. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you bang your head against the wall so many times and you're continuously battling some sort of pain in an elbow or in a hip or whatever, that kind of makes you want to look another way. Pain is an ultimate teacher. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you. I will catch you tomorrow for another one. Peace out.